Every morning, your mind wakes up before you do. Before your phone, before the noise, before the world tells you who you are, your thoughts start whispering. Some mornings, they whisper strength, let's go. Other mornings, they whisper doubt, you can't do this. That's where your real battle begins. Not in the gym, not in your job, not in your to-do list, but in the quiet space between your ears. The Stoics understood this long before neuroscience or self-help books existed. They knew that the quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every morning is a chance to build that power, to train the mind before the day trains you, to replace reaction with reflection, to choose stillness over chaos, control over impulse, clarity over confusion. But most people skip this step. They wake up and hand their mind to the world, to news, notifications, and noise. And then they wonder why they feel lost, anxious, or weak. In this video, you'll learn 12 Stoic life lessons. Small, practical disciplines you can practice every morning to strengthen your mind, sharpen your focus, and build inner armor. If you start your day with these Stoic rituals, you won't just survive your mornings. You'll master them. Imagine if your mornings weren't chaotic but calm. If instead of rushing into the day, you built your mind first, like a warrior sharpening their sword before battle. That's how the Stoics lived. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up checking messages from Rome's senators. He began by writing to himself, reminding his mind to stay humble, grateful, and calm. Epictetus started with reflection, asking what kind of day he wanted to live, and what kind of man he wanted to be. Seneca prepared through silence, knowing that the outer world bends only when the inner world stands firm. They didn't seek motivation, they built mental structure. They didn't chase peace, they created it through discipline. And you can do the same. Because your mind is like a muscle. If you train it every morning, it will carry you through any storm. So this isn't just a video. It's a blueprint. 12 Stoic lessons to build your mind every morning. You'll learn how to master your emotions before they master you. Turn small frustrations into mental strength. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Develop calmness that nothing can shake. Each lesson is a ritual, not a philosophy to read, but a habit to live. So take a breath. This is your time, your 10 minutes before the world wakes up. Let's build your mind. Lesson 1. Win the morning before it begins. Most people think their morning starts when the alarm rings. The Stoics would disagree. Your morning actually starts the night before. Before your head hits the pillow, you've already decided what kind of mind will wake up tomorrow. Will it be restless or ready, distracted or disciplined? Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." This wasn't motivation. It was mental architecture. He knew that when the body resists, the mind must lead. So he rehearsed the day before it began, preparing his thoughts like armor. The Stoic understood something most of us forget. Every morning battle is won in preparation, not reaction. Your phone's first notification? That's not a surprise. It's a test. The delay in traffic? That's not random. It's a chance to practice patience. The person who irritates you before 9 a.m.? That's not misfortune, it's training. When you sleep, your subconscious replays what you fed it. If you go to bed with chaos, endless scrolling, loud noise, anxious thoughts, your mind wakes up weaker, already cluttered. But if you go to bed intentionally, reading, journaling, reflecting, you begin the next day already armed. That's what Marcus did. Each night, he reminded himself of what truly mattered. He prepared to meet fools, liars, and ungrateful people, not with anger, but with understanding. He knew what awaited him, and therefore, nothing could truly disturb him. That's how you win your morning before it begins. You don't rely on motivation. You rely on preparation. Try this simple Stoic exercise tonight. Before bed, write down 3 thoughts. What's one thing I can't control tomorrow? What's one thing I can control? How will I respond if things go wrong? That 3-minute ritual builds awareness, and awareness is everything. You'll wake up lighter, calmer, stronger, because your mind already knows its direction. When others rush into the day half awake, you'll move with quiet purpose. You won't be chasing peace. You'll already possess it. The Stoics didn't wait for better mornings. They built them, one thought at a time, one intention at a time, one quiet night at a time. Your morning begins tonight. Win it before it begins. Lesson 2. Guard your first thought of the day. The first thought you have in the morning sets the tone for everything that follows. It's the seed from which your entire day grows. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by reminding himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. He didn't start with his schedule. He started with perspective. The Stoics understood that the mind, like a garden, grows whatever you plant in it. If your first thought is resentment, you'll find reasons to stay angry. If your first thought is fear, you'll see threats everywhere. But if your first thought is gratitude, strength, and purpose, the world begins to align around those same qualities. That's why you must guard your first thought like a sacred doorway, because whatever enters first shapes the rest of the day. Think about how most people begin. They wake up, grab their phone, scroll through other people's lives. Their first thought isn't their own, it's borrowed from someone else's chaos. They begin reacting before they've even begun thinking. Epictetus warned about this kind of mindless living. He said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." In other words, don't start the day by pointing outward. Start by turning inward. The first few moments after waking are like wet clay, still soft, still moldable. Once the world's noise enters, the clay hardens into whatever shape those first thoughts have taken. So what are you shaping? Try this Stoic practice tomorrow morning. Before you touch your phone, before you check the time, take a slow breath. Then ask yourself 3 questions. What is my first thought today? Is it serving me or weakening me? What thought do I want to carry forward? This simple awareness changes everything. It gives you back the power you've been giving away, to screens, to moods, to noise. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And each morning, you get to practice that. If your first thought is clear, calm, and grounded in purpose, no matter what happens next, your foundation stands firm. But if your first thought is chaos, comparison, or complaint, you've already surrendered before the battle even began. You don't need to control every event today. You only need to control your first thought. Guard it like a warrior guards his sword. Protect it from distraction, negativity, and noise. Let it be a thought of strength, gratitude, or clarity, something rooted deep, unshakable. Because the first thought you allow is the architect of every thought that follows. Guard it well, and your day will follow in peace. Lesson 3. Do something hard before the world wakes up. The Stoics believed that comfort was the enemy of strength. Not because comfort is evil, but because it dulls the blade of the mind. Epictetus, born a slave, said it best. Difficulties show what men are. He meant that struggle isn't punishment, it's a mirror. It shows you who you truly are when the world is still asleep and no one is watching. That's why the Stoics practiced voluntary hardship. They took cold baths, walked in thin clothes, fasted, slept on simple beds, not to suffer, but to stay strong. Because when you do hard things by choice, life's unexpected difficulties lose their power over you. Most people wait for life to challenge them. The Stoic doesn't wait, he challenges himself first. That's why mornings are sacred. Before the noise, before the demands, before the opinions of others, you have a moment of control. That moment can shape your day, your habits, your entire character. Do something hard before the world wakes up. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to push against comfort. Wake up early. Take a cold shower. Journal about your fears. Go for a walk when it's still dark and silent. Sit in meditation when your mind screams to grab your phone. Each small act of resistance is a rep for your mind. You're training the muscle of control, the art of saying, "I run this mind, not my impulses." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." He wasn't talking about grand acts of heroism. He was talking about daily friction, those small, inconvenient moments that strengthen your spirit. Doing something hard in the morning sets the tone. If you can conquer the first hour, you can conquer the rest. When you step into cold water at dawn, it's not about the shower. It's about proving to yourself that you can do what's uncomfortable and remain calm doing it. It's about building a mind that doesn't flinch. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." So when you face voluntary discomfort, you shrink the power of imaginary fears. You stop running from hardship and start walking into it. Do something hard before the world wakes up, not to impress anyone, not to post about it, but to remind yourself who you are. Because when you begin your day with strength, the rest of the day becomes training, not torment. And as Epictetus taught, no man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom begins not at sunrise, but in that first hard act you choose willingly, when no one sees and no one applauds, but your soul grows stronger all the same. So tomorrow morning, choose discomfort. Step into it. And remember, the world cannot shake a mind that chooses its own struggle. Lesson 4. Train your mind to respond, not react. Life will always test your reactions. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A friend disappoints you. A plan falls apart. The first impulse is to react, quickly, emotionally, without thinking. That's the mind on autopilot. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Pause before response. Between stimulus and reaction, there is a sacred space, the space where your freedom lives. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." He wasn't speaking in cliches. He was describing power, the only kind that can't be taken from you. Most people spend their lives like leaves in the wind, blown by other people's words, by emotion, by fear, by ego. But a Stoic trains the mind to stay grounded, calm, clear, steady. They don't suppress emotion, they understand it before it moves them. Imagine this. You wake up, and something goes wrong. The weather ruins your plan. Someone says something harsh. You feel that spark, anger, irritation, disappointment. But instead of reacting, you pause. You breathe. You tell yourself, "This is my training." That one breath, that 1 second, is the difference between chaos and control. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Before stepping into the day, he reminded himself, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and surly." He expected difficulty, so it didn't surprise him. He trained his mind to respond, not react. You can do the same. Start with this simple practice. When something upsets you, don't speak immediately. Pause. Observe your emotion. What exactly am I feeling? Why does this bother me? Will this matter tomorrow? By doing this, you shift from instinct to intelligence, from reaction to reflection. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." When you react, you lose twice, once to the event and once to yourself. But when you respond, with patience, awareness, and reason, you win twice. You gain peace and you gain power. So train your mind every morning with this reminder. Today, I will not be ruled by impulses. Let the world act as it does. Your control begins with your choice. Respond. Don't react. That is the first true sign of a mastered mind. Lesson 5. Rehearse the day like a Stoic general. The Stoics believed that every day is a battle, not against the world, but against one's own impulses. And like any good general, they didn't march into battle unprepared. They rehearsed the day before it began. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and student of Stoicism, wrote in his journal every morning, "Today I shall meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and surly. Yet I will not be harmed by them." That was his mental armor. He didn't write it to complain, he wrote it to prepare. He understood that if you expect resistance, you won't be surprised when it arrives. If you anticipate difficulty, you won't collapse when it comes. Life hits hardest when it catches you unaware. But when you rehearse the day, mentally walking through its possible challenges, you transform anxiety into readiness. Epictetus called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It's the practice of imagining what could go wrong, so you can meet it with calm. Not pessimism, preparation. Think of it like this. A Stoic doesn't hope for an easy day. They hope to be strong enough for whatever the day brings. So before you begin, take a few quiet moments to forecast your challenges. Ask yourself, who might test my patience today? What could go wrong, and how will I respond? What virtues can I practice no matter what happens? When you do this, you're no longer a passive player in your own life. You become the general, aware, ready, composed. Seneca once said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." Meaning, fear comes from surprise, but calm comes from foresight. Rehearsing the day removes surprise. You stop living in reaction and start living in preparation. When chaos comes, as it always does, you meet it with the calm of someone who's already seen it, already practiced it, already accepted it. So tomorrow morning, before you rush into your phone or your plans, pause. Close your eyes. See the day ahead, the good, the bad, the tedious, the unexpected, and whisper, "I am ready." That's how a Stoic begins the day. Not hoping for calm waters, but mastering their ship before the storm. Lesson 6. Feed your mind before the world does. Your mind is like a fire. It burns whatever you feed it. If you feed it noise, gossip, and chaos, it burns out of control. If you feed it truth, wisdom, and clarity, it burns steady and bright. Every morning, you have a choice. Will you feed your mind intentionally, or let the world feed it accidentally? The Stoics were careful about what entered their minds. Marcus Aurelius began his day reading philosophy, not to appear wise, but to stay anchored in reason before the world's storms arrived. Seneca read poetry and wrote letters to clarify his thoughts. Epictetus spoke with his students about virtue before they faced their daily challenges. They all knew, input becomes outlook. Whatever you consume first shapes how you see everything that follows. Compare that to how most mornings begin today. The phone lights up. Notifications flood in. News headlines, messages, ads, all demanding your attention before your mind has even taken its first breath. You start reacting before you've started thinking. But a Stoic doesn't begin their day reacting. They begin it building. So feed your mind before the world does. Before checking your phone, give your thoughts something pure and strong to stand on. Read a page of philosophy. Write a few lines in your journal. Meditate in silence. Reflect on one Stoic quote. Marcus wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." What color do you want your soul to have today? That answer begins with what you feed it. If you start your day with wisdom, the noise of the world won't stick. If you start your day with purpose, distractions lose their power. If you start your day with reflection, emotions won't control your direction. Every morning, imagine your mind as an empty cup. If you don't fill it yourself, someone else will, with fear, outrage, or vanity. Don't let the world choose your thoughts for you. Seneca said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." The same applies to ideas. Associate your mind with thoughts that make you better, calm, focused, resilient. So tomorrow, before you open your phone, open your mind. Feed it something timeless, something true. Because the quality of your day depends on the quality of your first meal. And your first meal is always mental. Lesson 7. Control the first hour, control the day. The first hour of your day is the steering wheel of your life. If you lose it, the rest of the day drifts. If you control it, the rest of the day obeys. The Stoics understood rhythm, not productivity hacks, but mental structure. They knew that how you begin determines how you endure. Marcus Aurelius started his mornings by grounding himself in gratitude and duty. He reminded himself that he was alive, capable, and responsible for his own mind. He didn't wait for the day to give him direction. He gave the day direction himself. Most people start their mornings reacting. Emails, messages, headlines, small fires everywhere. Before they've even had a moment to think, their energy is divided, their clarity gone. The mind becomes a passenger instead of a driver. But the Stoic does not drift. He begins with awareness, not urgency. He commands his first hour like a captain commands his ship. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." Meaning, if your attention is scattered, your soul is scattered. You can't build a calm life on a chaotic morning. So what does a Stoic first hour look like? It's not about doing more, it's about being deliberate. Wake up in silence. Stretch or move your body. Remind yourself you're alive. Reflect for 5 minutes. Ask, what do I want to stand for today? Read something that elevates your mind, not something that agitates it. Write down one guiding principle, one virtue you'll carry through the day. Patience, honesty, courage, discipline. That's it. No rush, no noise, just conscious control. Because the truth is simple. If you don't run the first hour will run you. And once your morning slips away, so does your mind. Marcus didn't have smartphones, but he faced the same battle, distraction. His notifications were wars, politics, and the cries of an empire. Yet he still found time to center himself first. He knew the world would try to take his mind, so he claimed it before it could. Control the first hour, and you control the day. Not by force, but by focus. Not by busyness, but by presence. Tomorrow morning, remember, your first hour is sacred. Treat it like a ceremony, not a chore. Because that quiet discipline, the choice to begin with clarity instead of chaos, is how strong minds are built. Lesson 8. Expect the difficult, and smile anyway. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings with a warning, not a prayer. He wrote, "Today you will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial." He didn't write it to complain. He wrote it to prepare. This is one of the most radical ideas in Stoicism. Don't hope for an easy day, prepare for a hard one. Because disappointment is born from surprise. When you expect comfort, every challenge feels like an insult. But when you expect resistance, every challenge feels like training. Seneca said, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." That's the mindset of the unshakable. Modern minds crave smoothness, quick mornings, no traffic, no conflict. But the Stoic mind knows that a frictionless life builds a fragile soul. So it does something different. It expects the difficult and greets it like an old friend. When you wake up, whisper to yourself, "Something will go wrong today. Someone will misunderstand me. Plans will change. But I will remain calm." This simple ritual rewires your brain for peace. You stop demanding perfection from the world and start mastering your reaction to it. Because hardship is not an interruption. It's the curriculum. Life's problems are not tests of punishment. They're tests of preparation. Think about the gym. The only way to grow muscle is through resistance. The same law applies to the mind. No resistance, no strength. The Stoic doesn't just endure difficulty, he uses it. He asks, "What can this teach me? What part of me can get stronger because of this?" Marcus faced betrayal, plague, war, and the death of his children. And yet his writings breathe calm, patience, and reason. He didn't smile because life was easy. He smiled because he refused to let pain define him. When you expect the difficult, something beautiful happens. You stop wasting energy wishing things were different. You stop taking chaos personally. You simply act well, no matter how unfair the stage. That's the secret of strength, not in avoiding storms, but in building a mind that doesn't crumble when they come. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off and life throws its usual madness your way, remember Marcus. Take a breath, steady yourself, and whisper, "I expected this. I'm ready for this." And then, smile anyway. Because nothing can truly disturb the mind that chooses its response before the world delivers its test. Lesson 9. Detach from what you can't control. There are two kinds of power in life. The power to act, and the illusion of control. Most people spend their days fighting the second one. They argue with reality. They resist what already is. Epictetus, the former slave who became a philosopher, said it clearly. Some things are in our control, and some are not. That's it, the foundation of Stoicism, the doorway to peace. And yet, it's the one rule most of us keep breaking. We try to control what people think of us. We try to control whether our plans go right. We try to control time, luck, health, and fate. And every time we fail, we suffer twice. Once from the event itself, and again from our resistance to it. The Stoic mind learns to cut the rope that ties peace to outcomes. It says, "I will do my best, but I release the rest." When you detach from what you can't control, you don't become careless. You become free. Free from anxiety. Free from guilt over what's beyond reach. Free to focus on what you actually can. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from his generals, loss of his children, and the collapse of empires. But he never begged the universe to change. He simply asked himself one question: what can I do right now with what I have? That question saved him from despair. It can save you too, because most of what breaks you isn't reality. It's the story you tell yourself about it. You can't control if someone lies to you, but you can control whether you become bitter. You can't control if the economy crashes, but you can control whether you lose discipline. You can't control time, but you can control how you use it. The Stoics call this the dichotomy of control. It's the ultimate mental filter. When something happens, ask, is this within my power or outside it? If it's within, act wisely. If it's not, let go completely. It sounds simple. It isn't easy, because the ego loves control. It wants to rule outcomes, people, and fate. But the soul, the wise part of you, doesn't need to. It finds peace in acceptance, not domination. When you start detaching, life stops feeling like a battle. You stop swimming against the current and start flowing with it. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. The Stoics didn't escape chaos. They mastered their response to it. And that mastery begins with surrender, not to fate, but to reason. So when the day feels heavy, repeat Epictetus's prayer in your heart. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. That is not giving up. That is rising above. Lesson 10. Silence is strength. The world will always demand your voice. It will demand your opinion, your approval, your reaction. And most people give it freely, without thought, without pause, without strategy. The Stoics taught the opposite. Silence is a weapon, a shield, and a teacher. Seneca wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's storms. Speak only when your words are better than the quiet." Silence is not emptiness. It is presence, awareness, a mind that observes before it acts. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings in quiet reflection. He didn't rush to dictate his thoughts to the world. He listened to his mind, cataloged his intentions, and trained his inner dialogue before engaging externally. Why? Because words are powerful. They shape reality, influence others, and can even betray your own state of mind if spoken impulsively. When you speak without thinking, you scatter energy. You reveal weakness. You react to chaos instead of directing it. Silence, on the other hand, strengthens the mind. It allows observation without judgment. It allows calm assessment before action. It allows you to conserve your mental energy for what truly matters. Try this. Tomorrow morning, sit for 5 minutes in complete silence. No phone. No noise. No distractions. Just observe your thoughts. Notice the ones that build strength, and notice the ones that weaken it. Do not engage. Do not argue with them. Simply watch, and let the strongest thoughts rise. The Stoics called this practice inner dialogue. By listening to yourself in quiet, you learn to distinguish between wisdom and impulse. You train the mind to respond thoughtfully, not react emotionally. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Silence is not cowardice. It is courage under control. It is the strength to wait, to see, to prepare, and then to act decisively. When your mind starts the day in silence, you face the world with an inner calm no noise can shake. Your reactions are measured. Your focus is sharp. Your presence is real. So let tomorrow morning begin with quiet. Not avoidance, not fear, not hesitation, but deliberate silence. Because in stillness, the mind finds its strength, the soul its clarity, and the day its direction. Silence is not empty. It is power. And every morning spent in it builds a fortress around your mind that no distraction can breach. Lesson 11. Practice gratitude before anything else. Gratitude is the quiet foundation of a strong mind. Yet most people never practice it. They wake up, think about what's missing, and spend the day chasing what they don't have. The Stoics taught the opposite. Begin with what is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This simple act, noticing what you already possess, rewires the mind. It shifts focus from scarcity to abundance, from complaint to appreciation, from distraction to presence. Gratitude isn't naive optimism. It's a form of mental armor. It reminds you that no matter the chaos outside, you have the power to shape your inner world. It grounds the mind before the storms of life arrive. Try this tomorrow morning. Before your feet touch the floor, list 3 things you are grateful for. It can be as simple as the air in your lungs, the roof over your head, or a person who cares for you. Don't overthink it, just feel it. Seneca advised reflecting on mortality and impermanence. Let us prepare our minds as if we were to live forever, but appreciate today as if it were our last. Gratitude is part of this reflection. It sharpens awareness of life's fleeting beauty. It turns the mundane into sacred. It reminds the mind, even small blessings are victories. When you start your day in gratitude, everything changes. A mistake becomes a lesson. A challenge becomes a training ground. A setback becomes temporary, not defining. Gratitude doesn't make you passive. It makes you strong. It clears the mental clutter that fear and envy create. It builds a mind that is alert, calm, and resilient. The Stoics didn't need external validation. They had gratitude. They measured wealth not in possessions, but in perspective. So tomorrow morning, practice gratitude first, before emails, before news, before obligations. Give your mind a foundation that no chaos can shake. Start the day by counting what you have, not what you lack. Let this small ritual shape every choice, every thought, every reaction. Because a grateful mind is a mastered mind. It sees clearly, acts wisely, and remains unshaken. Gratitude is not a luxury. It is a Stoic's first weapon. Wield it every morning, and your day becomes invincible. Lesson 12. End each morning with intention. Most people wake up, do a few things, and drift into the day. They let the morning happen to them, not through them. The Stoics taught a different path. Finish your morning with purpose, not passivity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Dwell on the principles you want to follow, and act according to them." It's not enough to start your day calm, strong, or grateful. You must end your morning with clarity, a deliberate intention for how you will live each moment. This is not a rigid schedule. It's a mental compass. A statement to yourself, "This is the mind I bring into the world today. This is the person I choose to be." Epictetus called this the practice of preparation. Knowing your day will have challenges, but setting a conscious path before they arrive. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Ending your morning with intention shapes your entire day. It prevents reaction and encourages action. It transforms routine into ritual. Try this. After your morning reflection, journaling, meditation, or exercise, write one guiding principle for the day. It could be patience, courage, discipline, kindness, or focus. Keep it short, keep it clear. Then remind yourself, every choice, every reaction, every word must align with this principle. Why does this matter? Because without intention, the day is a river, carrying you wherever circumstances lead. With intention, the day becomes your river. You steer it. You're no longer a leaf in the wind, but a captain of your own mind. Seneca wrote, "We are always complaining that our days are short, yet we waste the mornings." Ending your morning with intention prevents waste. It channels energy into what matters. It turns discipline into habit and habit into character. Even small intentions compound over time. A single morning spent consciously choosing your mindset, your actions, and your focus can ripple into decades of mental strength. This is the essence of Stoic practice. The mind is built through deliberate, repeated action, not by chance. So tomorrow morning, before the noise of the world enters, take a moment to decide. Who am I today? What kind of mind will I carry? What virtue will guide me? Set your intention. Hold it, and carry it like a torch into the day. Because the mind built with clarity, calm, and purpose in the morning will face anything and remain unshaken. Your mornings are not just hours. They are the foundation of a life well lived. Your mind is your most powerful asset, and every morning is a chance to strengthen it. The Stoics didn't wait for life to shape them. They built themselves, day by day, habit by habit, thought by thought. Now it's your turn. Start tomorrow with these 12 lessons. Win the morning before it begins. Guard your first thought, something hard before the world wakes up. Respond, don't react. Rehearse the day. Feed your mind before the world does. Control the first hour. Expect the difficult. Detach from what you can't control. Embrace silence. Practice gratitude. End the morning with intention. Don't just watch this video, live it. Practice one lesson each morning. Build momentum. Strengthen your mind. Because a day begun with purpose is a life mastered with wisdom. Subscribe, like, and share this video, and begin your journey toward a stronger, unshakable mind.